So safe space is all about listening, and it's also about the willingness of a person to actually work with a kid. Not everyone can work with the children, not everyone can work with an adult also. It's our willingness to listen. And I believe we as a society does not model listening. We only model speaking. After a while, I do advise that English should be also be the thing, because as of now, all our digital technologies, all our exposures have some amount of English. So children, if they are able to understand English, it becomes easier for them to navigate and to explore much wider. We just feel that whenever the fight happens, whatever something happens, we sit with the kids, we sit with the class, we have a dialogue, and so in dialogue we create systems on what do we think that next time what can prevent. And it's not ki wo prevent ho ja, but idea is to get into that consciousness and awareness with the kids, and then slowly building that thing. And it has reduced because the set of children that we work with, they come up with a lot of these kind of things. A lot of some of are also addicted to some intoxicants as well, but yeah, eventually they been able to lose that out. But yeah, we create an open space to dialogue and to talk about it. Okay, so if I understand correctly, you are asking what is my opinion on that the government and the authorities, how they can create safe spaces with children.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much. Yeah, absolutely. I think there is already a provision of there's a provision where the children from marginalized children from actually risk vulnerable communities and from the risk engagement, and there is a department called District Child Protection Office. We have worked a lot with them. I think that is somewhere we need to first start with, because how they have been handling children on streets is mostly that they are identifying children and putting it there to their nearest children home and different areas. But the way they have been doing it and the kind of even the children homes are there, I think that is something they need to relook as a system. How they're creating those kind of safe spaces in children homes, and how safe are these. I don't like to use this term, but they use it, children raid. We have been with them on such occasions where they identify and they capture children and put it into the homes. I think that is where the first thing specifically for this kind of audience that needs to come, that needs to be very, very sensitive and have to be coming from the lens of understanding of the kids. Second is even the school spaces. How can we create our school systems and school spaces not very rigid, and how can we do a flexible things at a school level so that children from marginalized communities can participate and their needs can also be fulfilled.
Yes, thank you very much. And I have another short question. Another question is what authorities and government of India do for support creating safe spaces for children to learn?
Yeah. So I think there have been a lot of different various initiatives by different governments, from the state governments as well as from the central government. So a lot of provision we have already been done. There are shelter homes where all the psychologists are there. But it's just that some of them are not very efficient, while some of them are working at a very efficient level. So I think we need to just learn from each other, and that can help the entire situation. So a lot of initiatives from the government, but yeah, there's a lot of work needs to be done as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think government schools don't have sufficient salaries? School teachers?
I don't think that's an issue. There's a lot of money there and they are earning well. See, we are running a school now. We are hardly being able to pay teachers, which we actually want to pay, and this is very less than the government. I think it's always the will skill and the ability to view children from children lens and not from adult lens.
So, if correct me if I'm right, the average salaries in the market for teachers is around 15,000, whereas in government schools it's 1 lakh. Is it correct?
Yeah, I think approximations. Yeah.
So, what do you think is the reason that, in spite of government giving such fantastic schools, locations, areas, people have donated a lot of land to governments for schools, that we as a government are unable to provide safe spaces, provide proper education? Where is the problem coming from, according to you?
Yeah, I'll take two different analogies to answer that question. One, I come from a belief that money cannot be the sole motivator for anything. For anything. Even if you pay 5 lakhs, even if you pay 10 lakhs, even if you pay 1 crore, money will not move a teacher to look at children from different lenses. Second thing is creating a safe space is not a problem only with the children on streets. Even as at an individual level, we might not want to visit all of our relatives. It's a simple analogy I take. We don't want a lot of relatives into our lives. Why? It's not the intentions are wrong. It's always the process. It's always the kind of relationship that we have with different relatives is not that good. So safe space is all about listening, and it's also about the willingness of a person to actually work with a kid. Not everyone can work with the children, not everyone can work with an adult also. It's our willingness to listen. And I believe we as a society does not model listening. We only model speaking.
Can I suggest that, since you said sensitization of the teachers, training of the teachers, ensuring all teachers, whether in public spaces or in private schools, should go through a curriculum and be trained and be sensitized to how teachers should be?
How the training and sensitization should be?
Do you think they should be given a 1 month course or a 10-day course or a weekend courses, or everybody should go through a particular curriculum on training teachers? Would you advise that?
Again, not an expert on that, but my takeaway is this is not a magic band that you learn. See, I think my take on this is do not think only from a teacher's lens. Think as how this is being modeled for taking an effect at education level, at a kid's level. This is a very ongoing process that we need to adapt. And I don't think it is a 10-day, 1 month, 3 month thing. You can create a spark through a workshop, could be 1 day, 2 day, 3 day thing. But how do they actually do is a constant thing, and it takes a long time because it's a behavior pattern that needs to be shifted. It's the assumptions, it's the opinions that needs to be shifted. And for an adult, it is not an easy task.
Okay. So, see, here at Wishwa, we've come out with a platform where issues can be discussed. And this is a very important issue. Our children are our future, the foundation of our country. And you are at the ground level. So it's not that you are an expert, but you can give your perspective. Okay?
Absolutely.
So the second question is, do you feel that a lot of conversions are taking place? If you want your children to study, please convert them. Or if you need to ensure that they take up higher education, please convert. Is that happening anywhere in Punjab?
I can talk about Patiala. Patiala, I haven't seen this thing in Patiala. We have been told by some of our kids that there have been some of instances where such kind of things has happened, but not in front of my eyes.
Okay. Do you see that children are passing out of their 10th without knowing how to read and write?
Absolutely.
How much percentage of children are passing out of 10th knowing how to read and write?
From the 17 slums in Patiala, around 1,600 kids that I know, first of all, hardly 20% of the kids are passing 10th, grade 10th. And out of them who are passing grade 10th, I think I found only 5% of the kids who are able to read and write. And that too in just one language.
This was a very important question I've asked, and this is the situation across the country.
Absolutely.
And we at Wishwa have also worked with a few schools. And this was our experience. Surprisingly, the Muslim kids are doing very well. A lot of vocational training is being given to them. A lot of Christian kids who are converted to Christianity are doing extremely well. They're getting a lot of funding. Unfortunately, it's the Hindu kids who are passing out without any education. So I've asked a lot of schools, how is this so? They said minority institutions get a lot of freedom. And the majority, Hindu-run trust education institutions, are curbed. Is this correct?
I'm sorry, ma'am. For me, the kids are only kids. I am atheist and I don't believe in any religion. My religion is only humanity. For me, the kids are kids. They are not Hindu, Muslim, Christian, coming from India, Pakistan, Nigeria. For me, kids are only kids, and my only duty is to work with them to explore the world and then provide them a platform where they can make choices.
Okay. Next question, Harsh. English. Do you advise English to be taught right from kindergarten?
Not really. I just feel first the language, whatever the mother tongue language a child speaks, that needs to be nurtured first. Because English is a very different foreign language. Like I am coming from North. If someone directly starts Malayalam with me, I may not be able to learn anything because I am not using it. And how children learn languages comes from listening and speaking and not through reading and writing. So I don't advise directly English. At the same time, after a while, I do advise that English should be also be the thing because as of now, all our digital technologies, all our exposures have some amount of English. So children, if they are able to understand English, it becomes easier for them to navigate and to explore much wider.
So, to primary, would you advise that they should be taught in their mother tongue? Okay. Mispa would like to ask a question. Unmute yourself.
Hi everyone, good morning. First, I'll take an opportunity to thank Harsh for this wonderful session. But I do have a couple of questions. The first thing being, like, you do bring a lot of children to the schools, to the learning center that you've built. But I think that I might be wrong, but I feel children have different skills and different way of learning and understanding things. So how have you designed your curriculum in itself where different set of children with different age and understanding level understand what you're actually trying to teach them?
Yeah, and that has been the major struggle for us as well. So one of the things is that our curriculum is not a static one. It's a really dynamic one. And what we do is we divide it into four different age brackets, 8 to 10, 10 to 12, 12 to 14, and 14 and to above, 14 and 16. That's how we do. But there are very, very varied learning levels because sometimes a child comes at an age of 14 with no formal background. So we still work with them. So but in that same group there are different levels, and that is why one of the thing is that our teacher student ratio is very less. It's hardly max 10 is to 1. We do not go beyond that so that every child gets some amount of customized learning experience. Second thing is with regards to curriculum, we focus majorly on language, math and life skills, and in those there are larger buckets based on learning outcomes that we want. But at the same time, what we do at a class level, that the interaction from the group creates examples on how we can use different examples of which becomes relevant into their communities. So that is how we are making it very, very relevant. And also there is what we do with the every quarter we have student interviews where children interviews around what they really want to learn in the next 3 months in the center. Why do they come to the center? And that is what we prioritize, that whatever the kids want to learn, we show them a learning path. Well, sometimes children might ask that we want to just learn computers. So we tell them that you need to go through these things and then we can introduce and then we can go ahead with the learning experience. So these are some of the modifications that we did, and it is working and we are also learning in the way.
Up to how many, which classrooms are you all, class are you all teaching?
So we don't follow the grade system.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay. Got it.
I understood. I think that's a good one. But do you have like qualified teachers who come and teach you, or anybody who's willing to teach and who have the teaching capacity? How is your teacher setup in the learning center?
Yeah. So our qualification does not come from a degree, but we have a very strong hiring process where we majorly see the culture fit, and then depends on the different roles. So if someone has to work with a larger elder kids, we might also need to have, if they have a subject understanding, maybe the language progression or the math subject progression. Else, we generally don't create skill in between because we have a very strong training system. We have a weekly trainings with our teachers to actually show how a classroom, how children learn right from a very basic, and then so that the teachers implement those things in the classroom. So our qualifications are not based on degrees, and currently we have different teachers from different backgrounds, even from different states, a very diverse group of teachers, but coming with a very strong mindset on literature, books, either theater, So these kind of background, mostly creative backgrounds, where they have already know the importance of reflection and dialogue with the kids.
Until you ask, I have a question. What is your opinion on the new education policy?
Policies are always great. Even the NCF 2005 was also beautiful. The new NCF and the new NEP are also beautiful. I'm curious to how does it translate to the classrooms. There are some structures which are beautifully placed, and there is a focus on project-based learning. There's a focus on providing a flexibility in the choice as well, especially after grade 8 and those areas. So it reflects that the mindset is shifting from being very rigid to somehow flexible at a systemic level. And yeah, I'm excited to see how does that translate into the classrooms.
What about vocational training? What is your thought process on it?
See, vocational training are very much necessary. We also provide that. We have a quarterly exposure for vocational training. My only concern is that sometimes if someone in Delhi decides what kind of vocational courses are going to be there, this becomes irrelevant for the kids who are there. So, so for example, I cannot decide directly, what kind of vocational training we should provide to the kids. We sit with the kids, have a long 2 to 4 hour discussion on what exactly will make meaningful for them. Like last year, we had vocational trainings on photography, filmmaking, jewelry making, because those were some of the ideas suggested by kids and why they want to learn to that. And yeah, our two kids from then picked that filmmaking part, and they are now independent filmmakers. So yeah,
So
that is the only bit I'm more
how did
concerned.
you put them into filmmaking? Somebody liked photography. How did you move them into that?
So one is that first we provide the exposure part, and we observe how the kids participates in the photography, because some of the choices are not coming from an awareness. They are coming from what is trending. So social media is trending and the teenagers are liking it. That's why I like photography. So what happens is when we observe a kid from 3 day, 4 day or a week long workshops, we see what kind of efforts the kids are putting in. And then after 7 day, it's not what they have created, but what is more important is how they have enjoyed the process and how they have been part of the process. And then we have like made some partners where they can have a specialized skills. So we collaborated with Manzil Media in Delhi, and they have imparted skills to 3 of our kids. And we are okay even if the kids go there and then they realized we don't want to go to filmmaking, we want to do something else. That is also fine. Again, that's a choice that they have to make.
Excellent. So thank you for at least, giving that opportunity for those few kids once more. What about any other aspects of the education policy that you liked?
Yeah, I think as I shared, one is vocational part, one is the flexibility of the courses, and also the emphasis of the digital learning at a early age rather than waiting for grade 10th and 12th. I think those are some good parts of the policies.
Okay. What do you think of the food programs in government schools?
Which program, sorry?
Food, giving food.
Yeah, giving food. Yeah. No, I think food program has been able to attract a lot of kids, and attendance rate have improved. There's a clear evidence indicates that. We also have a food program in our space. I think it is important. Again, as in a lot of schools, there have been some quality issues and those kind of things. I think that now might need to be able to work upon. So I think one of the very simple idea on that is that I think teachers and the kids should eat together the same food, what we are giving it to the kids. We follow it at our learning center, and it is just like a best quality step you can take. So yeah, so we at learning center, me along with my teachers and the kids, we all sit together and eat the same food. And
Amazing.
yeah, that's how the culture is being created.
Amazing. Great thought process. Misbah, do you still have your question or can we
Yes,
move?
I wanted to check if you have any assessment or examinations that you conduct that to check if they've made any progress or if children are actually learning.
Yeah, yeah. So again, we don't have examination system, but we do have a very different assessment thing. So it is a continuous assessment progress. There is a teacher's observation, there are student interviews, there are student portfolios which the children only create themselves, which we follow at every week. And there is a strong, so we also follow the journaling system which kids create journals. So these are what are the evidences of what the children are learning. and how the children are learning. So we do not believe in the idea that only one test can give you the exact thing. So it's a continuous form of assessment that we do with the kids.
All right. So, do you have any other learning centers in and around India, or?
No, we are primarily focused in Patiala, and we don't want to scale it up like an operational chaotic. I feel that is not something we can do because we are building a very contextual solution. It's more important that we might want to take these learnings to different spaces where people can learn from the kind of model that we are operating. So yeah, that's how we want to proceed with the scaling part.
Right. So, all the teachers who are in there in teaching, are they like full time working over there, or do they come given time on a vocational basis and then go all? How does that work?
So we have, as of now, we have six teachers in the main school center. And those are full timers, and so Monday to Friday they only handle the class. But on Saturday, teachers reflect on the previous week and plan for the next week. So only on the Saturdays we have volunteers pitching in who help kids in computers or exposure classes or different areas.
A question from Parvati: how to tackle with other factors which impact children if they are involved in crimes, fights, have a chaotic environment?
Yeah, I think these are all parts and parcels of everyone's life, what they bring in. So, what we follow is a culture of a dialogue. We don't have a punishable culture. We don't have, suspension or anything like that. We just feel that whenever the fight happens, whatever something happens, we sit with the kids, we sit with the class, we have a dialogue. And so in dialogue, we create systems on what do we think that next time what can prevent. And it's not ki wo prevent ho ja, but idea is to get into that consciousness and awareness with the kids and then slowly building that thing. And it has reduced because the set of children that we work with, they come up with a lot of these kind of things. Some of are also addicted to some intoxicants as well, but yeah, eventually they been able to lose that out. But yeah, we create an open space to dialogue and to talk about it.
How prevalent is drugs among the slum kids?
Well, currently, the areas that we are working with, I think till age of 16, 17, it's not very highly addicting drugs, I would say. But yeah, some kind of intoxicants they are part of, maybe a kind of good pan masala or some kind of even the solution that we have come across. So yeah, I think these are some of the fit we have find, especially more among boys. Yeah, that is there. Especially above 10 years of age, it is highly, highly there.
But hardcore drugs?
Not really. At least we haven't found any.
Oh, that's great. Food. Do these kids have breakfast when they come in?
Yeah, so we provide fruits.
Provide. So why I've asked this question is Annadanam, we're doing a lot now. And I feel today it's not a question of people not having food. Today it's a question of people not having nutritious food. What is your take on this?
No, it's very true. It's very true. I remember a lot of kids you will see have a habit of eating a chalk or eating a coal, which clearly indicates there's a lack, they're anemic or there's a lack of iron and those things. So because the food which is there right now, mostly processed, mostly junk, it's not giving the wholesome nutrition, and which creates a challenge with the kids, especially again from the marginalized communities, the less prevalent of fruit and all those holistic foods. So these are some micro vitamins which are always not there. And that is why our some of our supporters who are doctors suggested that we should introduce fruits. So we do provide seasonal fruits to the kids.
Would you suggest the government is giving a midday meal to them? So they're giving egg and milk, if I'm not wrong. Would you suggest that they give some kind of a protein bar or a nutrient bar to cover the remaining nutrient deficiencies?
I think protein bar is same as eating an egg. Egg provides that protein, but if
But the
there is
other
a vegetarian or veganism, then there is a concern, then the other stuff can be provided. But I just feel that maybe some amount of fruits can be included because fruits provides that vitamins which is not there in other sources. Generally, these protein bars or even the rice and dal that we eat does not have the vitamins part of it. So vitamin C, because they need that immunity part. So I think those are also very necessary, vitamin C and
So
fiber.
when you see a 360 degrees growth for a child from a slum, so one, we've covered food. Two, you've covered the emotional aspect and the mental aspect. Three, you're very clear it's not about drugs. It's more about listening to them to understand what their issues are and catering to that requirement. You've already also spoken about teachers and how to sensitize them. I think you've covered the entire gamut.